You've got to get off your ass and get busy on yourself. Morgan Freeman, tell him.
Get busy living or get busy dying. That's goddamn right.
You're goddamn right.
Why can't I stop?
I can't stop.
I can't stop.
Hello and welcome to Sobriety Made Simple. My name is Timothy Martin. Today I want to discuss why it took me so long to stop drinking. There are many factors and reasons why, but first let me clarify something though. Drinking for me wasn't a genetic predisposition. As far as I can look back in my family tree, I can't find another person who had any kind of alcohol issues. So for me, drinking wasn't really a thing that was passed down to me, as far as I know. Drinking was more of a psychological issue. I drank seriously for well over 20 years. Now, I did have one period of time that I stopped. That was at the beginning of my drinking. I was going to school. I was getting my education, so I stopped for a while. And at that time, alcohol for me was more of a social thing. I wasn't drinking to escape problems or depression like later on. But after I got done with school, I started drinking again, and that's where my problems began. And I started to try off and on to stop with no real solid results of more than just a few months. I'm going to try to explain why that was and hopefully give some insight into how I was finally able to break free from the hold that alcohol had on me and what steps I took to do that. And maybe this will help somebody who's listening. I really hope it does. One of the main reasons for me not being able to stop drinking was my mindset. At the beginning, when I first started drinking, I loved alcohol. It was like my best friend. It brought me out of my shyness. It lowered my inhibitions. I was able to talk, to socialize, and alcohol just made me feel like the person I always wanted to be, less inhibited. That began my relationship with alcohol. So the times that I tried to stop, there was that fear of having to live life without that crutch. Also, I felt like the decision was too overwhelming for me, like it was too big for me to handle. I was looking at the big picture. And at the time, I had what's called an external locus of control. I was playing the victim, so I felt like there was no way I could change. That was just the way things were. I was just stuck with it. I had a very fixed mindset. And I made excuses like it's just too big for me to handle. I've got too many problems right now. I don't really want to stop drinking, or I don't know where to begin. And the real reason was I was scared. I was a chicken shit. And I didn't want to face up to the damage that I had done to myself and others because of my drinking. It was easier for me to hide. Also because of the years and years of the lifestyle of drinking that I lived, going out to bars and hanging out, my social circle was toxic, completely immersed in drinking and hanging out with people who drank. So once again, that thought overwhelmed me. How am I going to change this? I'm literally going to have to get away from everybody I know. This is going to be impossible. Once again, self-sabotaging, not wanting to get to work on myself, making excuses. Now I need to clarify something. When I say toxic people, I'm not making an excuse. I don't want you to think that I was some innocent victim who was drug out to bars or was influenced by evil people. That's not true at all. As a matter of fact, a lot of the times I was the bad person. I was the instigator. I was the one that drugged people out to bars or showed up at people's houses with alcohol unexpected. What I'm saying is my lifestyle in general was toxic. And I'm sure some of you had to go through this if you're going to quit or if you're now in recovery or thinking about getting in recovery. You might know some good people, some fun people that you hang out with or used to hang out with. But you know, in order to live an alcohol-free life, you're going to have to get away from them. They're probably really nice people, but you have a decision to make, or you had a decision that you had to make. And I'm not blaming my alcohol addiction on anyone. I chose to do it. No one ever put a gun in my head and made me drink. What I'm saying is thinking that way keeps you trapped. That's the point I'm trying to make. It does make you feel like there's no way out. You feel stuck, hopeless. So what's the best thing to do when you feel depressed and stuck and hopeless? Of course, you drink, which leads to more depression, more resentment, more low self-esteem, low self-confidence. In the last 5 years of my drinking, what I did feel was this internal pressure, like a pressure bubble building inside me. That's the best way I can put it. It was growing, and I knew that something had to give. Something had to change. I was either going to give up drinking or I was going to most likely drink myself to death. I couldn't do this stop and start thing anymore. It was either stop or live the rest of my life an alcoholic and be at ease with it. And the thought of being okay with that decision really scared me. To accept that I was going to drink myself to death and be okay with that scared the shit out of me, really. And I had this moment of clarity. I was able to really look at myself from like outside myself for just that little moment of time and think, this is what your life has amounted to? But thinking that way helped me because I felt the desperation of the situation, the real need to make the decision. So I started a plan on how to do things different this time. The only way that I had stopped any length of time was through the AA program. To go to AA, to get a sponsor, to work the 12 steps. And that's what I had done in the past. And it did work, but I would eventually go back to drinking. And I didn't want to go down that road again. So I decided to mix as many different ideas as I could together and get as much information as I could put together and put it all into my recovery, my personal recovery, nobody else's. I had gone to school, I studied psychology. That was my major, but like I said, almost directly out of college, I started drinking again, so I never really used my education to help me. I started to relearn what I had learned in school, studying brain and behavior, anatomy, physiology, neurotransmitters, how to stop habits, how to form new ones, how to incorporate a growth mindset, an internal locus of control, using the prefrontal cortex over the basal ganglia to think through problems. I started to piece together a working recovery program. Not completely getting away from AA though, especially at the beginning. I went back because of the group dynamic, the support system, and I did get away from everybody I knew that I drank with. I had to do that. And that wasn't easy, but I did. I changed my life. I blocked everybody's number from my phone. I got everyone together that I knew that I drank with that I could get hold of. And I had one last hurrah. I told them, please don't ever get in touch with me again. I'm stopping. I'm getting away from this. And most of them did. Most of them were actually really cool about it. And they were very nice. They wished me well. And I haven't seen them or talked to them since. But I was really happy I did that because I left it all there. I got drunk one last time with them, and I left on my own terms. Plenty of beer in the fridge, half drank liquor bottles, but I got up and I said, that's it. I've had enough. And I walked away. And looking back on that decision, I think it was a good one because it was me leaving it behind because I wanted to. That's just the best way I can put it. I started going back to AA. I got some good support around me, and I started to incorporate the things that I learned in school. I started exercising and dieting, and those are really the fundamental parts of my beginning. I would come home after work, and I would research every night online strategies to stop drinking, ways to make myself feel better, ways to raise my self-esteem, ways to raise my self-confidence. And I use and still use those methods today, and it's all done wonders. My life has changed tremendously. It's going on 2 years now, and I feel stronger in my recovery than I've ever felt. My life has gotten so much better. The problems that I had have been worked out completely or are being worked out. And I'm talking things like finances, my professional life, getting closer to my family again. That was the big one. Mending that relationship. It was a hard thing to begin. But in my head, of course, realistically, it wasn't that bad at all once I started it. But it took resolve, it took resilience, it took patience. It took a lot of getting honest with myself and getting over the fear and a lot of hard work. And I mean a lot of hard work. And that's the difference in me today. Now, folks, I'm telling you what works for me, okay? Not all these things might work for you. You find your own path. Pick out what you can. Pick out what helps you. Add things to that. I don't know what works for you. That's the great thing about my recovery today. It's not some 12 steps that you have to follow. If you don't follow it this way, you're not working a recovery program. It's pick and choose what works best for you according to who you are. We're all different. That means everyone's recovery program should be different. Make it your own. Make it personal. The best things that work for you, keep. And the things that don't, discard. But the things that do work for you, build on them, add to them. You get out of it what you put into it. For me, it's a roll up your sleeves and get to work mentality. Keep a positive attitude. Be grateful. Be honest. Good self-talk. Eating right, exercising, sleep, diet, hydration. All of these things combine together. Find out who you are. Learn. Educate yourself. Cultivate an attitude of, I'm not taking any shit anymore and I'm going to fucking do this no matter what it takes. You have to be willing to make the decision in your head. I'll do whatever the fuck it takes. Go after it like a pit bull. You can do it. It just takes making the decision. You've got to get off your ass and get busy on yourself. Morgan Freeman, tell him.
Get busy living or get busy dying. That's goddamn right.
You're goddamn right. I hope this helps you out. Okay? This has been a real abbreviated history of my drinking, but I wanted to kind of cram it in about 10 minutes. I probably ran over a little bit. I'm sorry. You can do this. Trust me. If I can do it, I know you can do it. Okay? Because I was a feel sorry for myself, blaming motherfucker. Sorry. I'm not anymore. Far from it. So there's no excuse for you. Now get out there and get after it. Okay. Thanks for watching. Check out some of the other videos I have. They may help you out. Do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button, and please subscribe if you like. It helps me to continue to make these videos. We'll see you next time. Remember, you got this. Bye.
What the hell are you waiting for? Go.